You're on.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Podnutz, show number 67. Podnutz is a tech roundtable discussion where each guest brings a tech-related topic that we then discuss. I'm your host for this show. My name is Matt Rainey. You may know me from Podnutz Pro. If you don't, check it out. Podnutz Pro, another podcast from the...
All right, Matt. All right. Enough with the script. We're not about that here. Just wing it. Just wing it.
I got two more scripts to read. I was sent. Okay.
To me, it sounded like you were improvising, Matt. If that counts for anything.
No, it did.
Yeah, it did. It was.
No.
I'm actually playing Angry Birds while I'm talking, so that's why it sounds scripted.
All right. No, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do I need to start over now?
Yeah, but just let it flow.
Okay, I'll try. I'll try. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Podnutz, show number 67. Podnutz is a tech roundtable discussion where each guest brings a tech topic to the table and we all discuss it. Just argue it, discuss it, whatever. I'm your host. My name is Matt Rainey. You may know me from Podnutz Pro. If you don't, check it out. You probably do know our other two guests for tonight, Cody Cooper from Nice Geek Computers and Donnie Groves from Happy Computers. Cody, how are you today?
Great, Matt. How are you this evening?
Well, I'm hanging in there. It's a long week already. It's only Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Donnie, how about you?
I could not be better, Matt. How are you today?
You couldn't be any better? Not at all?
Couldn't be any better. Today was busy. I made a lot of money. Everything's great.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It is, man.
I was busy too, but things could always be better. I could have had time for golf today, but yeah, that's another story.
Sure enough.
All right, so we'll start with Cody first. Cody, what you want to talk about tonight?
Well, Matt, one of the things I'm really trying to get going in my business is to get a small group of loaner machines ready, because a lot of the jobs I'm going to now, it's rare these days that we find a home where they only have one computer. So, but if they do have one computer, if you need to take it for a few days, they're basically without the internet unless they have a smartphone. And I thought, well, maybe because of that instance is quite rare, maybe I don't need some loaner machines. But what I'm finding is that I'm going into homes with families where they may have 2 or 3 computers, but 4 or 5 people who all need access. If you take one of those machines out, all of a sudden there's a power struggle. Mom's using it, the kids aren't, the older child is using it, the younger isn't. So I wanted to have this battery of loaner machines to give out. But I'm always thinking of how to sort of leverage my current equipment set to get more out of it. So previously what I've been doing is just getting older, 5 to 7 year old machines and throwing a light version of like a Ubuntu, a Linux distro on it, just for basic web surfing. Because I figure, 2-3 days max, they're not going to need to, do a bunch of, video editing or whatnot. They can use Google Docs for documents if need be. But then I started thinking, I was listening to some of the older shows, and the topic of having a machine on hand to sell. It's quite an investment and a large amount of money to put into like a Windows PC just to have on hand, just in case someone wants to sell it. What I'm going to try is building just like a low-end quad-core AMD system, have it as cheap as I can while giving it still good specs, and having that as a loaner machine with an actual Windows 7 license on it. Now, I'm not going to be able to just hand it over to anybody, obviously. And if you're going to do this too, I'd suggest you got to kind of gauge your customer. If they're shady and they have sores on their faces, maybe not leave that machine with them, but use that as a tool to upsell them, because chances are any machine that you loan them, either whether it be Linux or if it's a Windows 7 box, it's going to be faster than the current machine. And what better way to show them how slow their machine really is than have them test drive something else for a couple days?
Right, that's a good idea. Now, this would be a notebook, you said, right?
No, I would go desktop. I've done both before, but no, I would just be talking like a desktop mainly for doing the upsell, because that's something I could actually build part by part as opposed to a notebook. But I've loaned out both before with Linux.
With Linux,
mm-hmm.
And how do they like Linux when you've loaned it out?
They always say it's very fast. They say, well, I couldn't get iTunes loaded on it. That's fine. I'm not trying to sell them a Linux machine, but as far as web surfing, I throw Chrome on there. It's just lightning fast. They're happy. They're just happy to have a machine. Another thing you can do is what I normally say is, well, normally I charge a $25 charge to have this out for the max of a week. And you can either do that and then let them know, well, but I'm going to waive it this time because it's the first time coming to me. That way they feel, oh, hey, I'm already kind of getting a discount, when in fact it didn't really cost you anything at all. You're just throwing something in front of them saying, hey, I'm not going to do this for you. Great. But if you do, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to ask you, do you offer any services as far as, if they save data on the computer, are you going to be transferring data off of it to the other machine? Or are you strictly telling them, look, only use the internet, don't save anything to it? I mean, obviously it would be convenient because once you bring it back to the shop, once they're done with it, of course, you can just wipe it and reload the image that you would have smartly made beforehand, and now it's fresh and clean again. Exactly. I would wonder how many people would want the data that they saved on it transferred to the new machine.
The only data that they've had on their machine is literally just like their browser history from Chrome. They're not saving documents on them. I've done about 10 or 12 of these, and I just tell them, I've actually helped a couple of them start a Google Docs account. They didn't know what it was, so you got them onto that, building a relationship with them that way. But they're not saving data. They're not downloading music. They're not adding movies to it. I literally just kind of say, hey, no, I'm giving you this just to get you by on any web surfing. And I show them the menu of the different programs they can go, and I say, play with these if you want. If you have some time, they're there. But they're on a web browser. I mean, it's just like jumping on a bike. You have an address bar. You type in where you want to go, and you go there. It's easy. So I haven't had to migrate any data from any of the Linux machines yet. But in the case of a Windows machine, that's another thing you can throw on there. If they are doing their normal things and they have iTunes or whatever, if they, I don't know, rip a CD, whatever, if they have some data on there, then yeah, you can offer that as a free service too. Say, well, if you upsell them to another machine or their older machine, say, well, I can migrate this data for X amount of dollars, but honestly, what are they going to throw on there in 2 or 3 days that's going to be worth a fee? Can you think of anything?
I guess not. No. I guess not. Users can do some strange things. Now, you're giving them a loaner, and you don't charge for this loaner. This is something that you provide as a service that's included with your fee of while you're fixing their computer.
What I've done in the past, and I've done this both ways, but when I mainly do is I'll say it'll be a $25 charge. And then hypothetically, if it's something I need to investigate a little more, it's taking longer time for me to fix their other machine, I say, you know what? It's taking me a little bit longer. I'm going to waive the $25 fee. And they're just over the moon with that. They're like, oh, great. Because they're saving money, when in case it cost me nothing because I got that machine donated to me more often than not. And it's already in their home. They're already using it. They're already happy with it.
I'm thinking a little bit ahead. I'm thinking, okay, if a customer has, let's just say virus or spyware or some sort of medium severity software issue, it'd be really cool to run Fab's auto backup on it and just transfer just not the documents or pictures or music or anything like that, but just the browser settings and the favorites, slap them on that new machine. I mean, that takes 5 minutes, and now they kind of feel at home.
Exactly.
I like that idea. Do you have anything in place if they break it or lose it, or you go pick it, you bring their computer back to them fixed, and they don't have your machine anymore? What would you do in that case? I know you didn't pay for it, so I guess you're really not out or anything. But what's the policy in that case?
At the moment, I don't have anything because I haven't run into it yet, and that's kind of why I'm bringing this up, because I know I've heard some other techs talking about using loaner machines. I wanted to know what your guys' opinion on it was. As far as Linux machines, I mean, I could care less, because I mean, obviously I'm losing a loaner machine. It is part of my stock, even though I may not have paid for it. So there needs to be something done there. But my main thing I'm trying to get to is potentially building like a low-end Windows PC to essentially use as a test drive. Because I mean, if they're using Linux, they're probably not going to be interested in buying that machine. But if you can get it to where you're paying not much for the machine itself, handing it out to certain people, letting them test drive it, and then potentially upselling them to that machine, or letting them know, oh yeah, I actually loaned you. I do build systems. However, the one I loaned you was my low end one. I can actually build faster machines. Well, they already think that machine is fast compared to what they had before, and now you're giving them the option of going even faster with more storage space. What do you guys think about that?
I like it. I mean, I think another angle would be too is load it up with as much RAM as it could possibly take, and have it be like a Windows XP machine or a Windows Vista machine that's sort of lower end as far as what it was purchased as, but then just point out the difference. Yeah, your machine's about the same age as this, and I know this one runs faster, but guess what? This one has 4 gigs of RAM in it. Yours has 1. By the way, I
There
have
you
the RAM
go.
with me.
There you go. Yeah. I can make it an XP machine and then give them the option to upgrade to 7 as well. Because I'm going to be building a newer machine anyway. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if this is actually put in place, how many would actually go with the machine that was the loaner. And and what do you see when you go into homes now? Is it mostly laptops, or do people still have desktops in their houses?
I usually see one main desktop and then 2 or 3 laptops, or vice versa. The laptops, I mean, and usually most of the machines are in the living room because the parents just don't want the computers. I mean, their kids to have the computers in the bedroom, where they're doing, who knows what. But yeah, I walked into a house last week and 1 desktop, 3 laptops. They're all in the living room, just using them. The desktop was out, so they just have their laptops used. So they really wanted to use their computer at their desk, but then their desk computer was gone. And I just thought, well, just put the laptop on the desk. But I didn't say that. So
Something that's coming to my mind now is, I mean, something that you might want to be aware of is, I mean, you prefaced it by saying you want to pick out the customers who actually get this. Don't give it to anyone. But
right.
I would be concerned if I were to loan it to a customer who had a little bit of a paranoia streak in them, and then they use it for that 2 or 3 days, and then now I have to take back the computer where they were logging into their bank and everything else. I worry about a little bit of liability there as far as them thinking, well, geez, the tech took the computer back, and now my bank account got quote unquote hacked into or whatever. At that point, They might maybe point the finger at you. Of course, since we're all ethical people, we wouldn't do anything like that. But
right, and I actually did have a customer that questioned me specifically about that, and I told her, and I did it in front of her before I left. I completely wiped the machine, and I told her to try to boot it on and just boot it up. No known boot device. So I wiped it there. They could still be paranoid and go, well, was he tracking me? Does he have something on the machine? And that's something else I wanted to bring up. I mean, as far as I could say, out of the many people that I've done it for already, I only had the one that was really cautious, because most of the customers I have referred to me by other people that they trust or they know me already.
Yeah, they trust you.
As far as that kind of business, I think it would work. But as far as an on-site tech that is, they just picked you out of the phone book or referred you by someone that they may not know well, then yeah, I could see that being more of an issue of the sort of trust gap of, do I want this thing in my house where he could potentially read it later?
I generally think it's a good idea. Go ahead.
Yeah, that can be true of anything. You bring your car somewhere, and you bring it in for problem A, and 2 months later something else happens, and customers want to associate one event with the other, be it a computer, washing machine, car, whatever.
Right.
And I have a lot of clients that rent computers that they don't travel much. This isn't a business. They have a desktop. They don't want a laptop. And when they go to New York or California, we're in Louisiana, they've been telling me they've been renting computers from companies that, I guess, like they go to these convention centers and there's somebody renting computers, and they don't have a problem with it, even though they think of themselves as security conscious. They're worried about security when they're in their own office, but yeah, they don't have an issue renting these computers from people they don't know.
I've seen on TV advertisements for rent-a-center type places, and the prices are astounding. I mean, the way they sell it, it's like only $50 a week, or something similar to that. And it's like, geez, this is a computer that obviously is retails at most for $300. And it's like, comes with a free printer, $100 value, and it's a $30 printer at Walmart. It's just, there's definitely some markup in those rental companies, and I think the loaner situation's a good idea if you can make money off of it, whether it be through upselling or upgrading or whatever else.
Yeah, I like go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Oh, I like the loaner, but I would definitely charge for it. I wouldn't waive any charges. One charge is to fix a computer. If you want something in your house, we can leave this and not have paperwork that they signed, maybe a deposit. I think I would charge for that service for sure.
Or at least have some sort of scary disclaimer.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I haven't run any problems yet. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to bring this up, was to, you know, help educate me, get your guys' opinions too, but also to use the loaner machine as a modified loaner machine with Windows instead of Linux as a potential sales tool. So using the loaner machine for another purpose as well. And then who's to say that you can't have like Firefox on there and have the main URL go to your page where you're offering an exclusive for that week while they have the machine, and then you come back and they're like, oh, hey, I heard about this promotion you're running. You're like, oh, well, as a matter of fact, yes, I am. Would you like that too? Well, yes, I would. Fantastic.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I like it just for them to be able to get online. I wouldn't want them loading software, or I don't want to be responsible for that. I don't want to have to transfer it back unless they want to pay to transfer the data back, which if they just want to get on Facebook for the few days that you have your computer, I think that's great.
And the charge what I might charge for that migration could also be a deterrent for them saving that, and say, well, if you want this data back, it'll cost this much. That might limit them to only the web browser anyway. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll definitely lock it down, a limited user, so they can't. That's what I would do. It's just I don't want them to install anything.
No, there you go.
Of course, then they're going to call you and say, I can't go to this web page. I can't install ActiveX or some update, or yeah. But there's going to be issues. But
this
as long as
loader
they
sucks. I'm
understand,
never buying this.
Well, I always test Flash, you know, to make sure that they can go to YouTube and this and that. But like I said, haven't run any issues with it yet. But thanks for the tips, guys, and let me know if you guys use them and what kind of success you have.
And we have loaners once in a while for businesses. Although I recommend to the business, I know it's different than residential, but the business, if they've got 30 computers, I like to tell them, buy an extra one, have one laying around, because when one goes down, no one else wants to give up their computer. Just like at a house, mom doesn't want to give it up to the kid to go get online. I know homes can't buy extra computers, but businesses, on the other hand, should have an extra computer laying around. Although you try and get them to buy 31 computers when they only need 30, it's like you're trying to sell them, I don't know, ice to
a third glove.
Right.
Why do I need another glove? I got 10 fingers right here.
And I think I mentioned these Chromebooks a few weeks ago. I think these Chromebooks are kind of good for that. All you can do is get on the line. Now, I know you may not, if you don't have a reseller account, you may not be making money on that because you're not building it. But if you have some kind of reseller account, you could buy a notebook, even notebooks that I'm sure you get customers that give you notebooks that are still usable. If those are cleaned up, and you can use those as loaners. Especially if they have a desktop and now they see how nice it is to have a laptop where they can walk around with it, they may want to buy that from you.
There you go.
Good way to get rid of some because I probably have 15 notebooks sitting around my office that customers just didn't want to spend the money to fix. There's nothing wrong with them. They just maybe needed a new screen and they didn't want to pay for it. So they said, well, just keep it. I don't need it.
It's amazing how many of those you collect and how many of them you get together might have one problem or this or that, and then you combine the two. Oh, hey, working machine. It only cost me this much time to put it back together, and now you can use it for another purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I had one user bring me a notebook, and there was a few keys missing from the keyboard. And I said, well, I think the keyboard's $30 and our standard charge. So I gave her a price. She said, well, I don't want it. Just keep it. Because the enter key was missing. I know that one because she didn't like having she was annoyed not having that key to press. And there was some other key. It was like just a few keys, and she didn't want to fix it. So she said, just keep it. I don't feel like coming to pick it up. So I replaced the keyboard, and now I have a perfectly fine notebook that we techs use to go on jobs if they need the notebook.
Wow.
So those are a good way to get those and not just sell them. Because I get clients that say, I don't care what you have. I just need a notebook for right now. Mine went out. I need to buy one right now. And well, I got to take your pick. Here's what I have. So
yeah.
And that's what Computer Pro is saying. That's what diagnostic fee works right. And that's what I do. I weigh the diagnostic fee for those users. So a bench fee of $35. If they don't want to fix it, I say you can come pick up your notebook and it's $35. And they say, well. And I say, or if you just want to, we can dispose of the notebook for you and waive the charge. And they go for that more often than you would think.
Oh, yeah, I've done that a couple times. That is huge.
When people get their eyes on like a new machine and they know they have a feeling, I think, that they are stepping out of their old computer. It's actually a personal experience to them. And I think at some point people just realize, you know what? I've already stepped 1 foot out the door. I'm ready to leave it. You know what I mean? So it's like they're not emotionally attached anymore, so they can just let it go for whatever.
Yeah, because giving them another experience in their own home in a place they're comfortable, as opposed to bringing them to your shop or to a store where they get to kind of mess with it for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. They're uncomfortable about it. They don't know how to interface with the new OS, but giving it to them in their home, letting them use it in their home, the place they're comfortable, that will see how their family reacts to it. It's just that much more that they're thinking about, possibly upgrading to a new machine, if not this one, in which case you can charge for data migration later as well.
I agree. I like charging for different services. That's just me.
Oh,
I don't
me
do a lot
too.
of home. I don't do a lot of home users. So we have a home user division, which is just word of mouth. But to me, coming from the business world, those are all separate charges. Fix your computers one. Have a loaner. Here's the price of the loaner. If you need me to set it up for you, that's another price. That's just a business mentality, though.
I wonder why the markets are different like that, because I primarily do home users, and I have, colleagues like you, Matt, that only do businesses, and we sometimes butt heads as far as how to deal with customers. It just seems to me like, the residential clients, to me, it's all the same. Either your important data is pictures and music, or your important data is your financial business records. They're both equally as important, equally as precious to people. I mean, sure, you got the servers and the technical end on the business side that you don't typically have on the residential side. But to me, the charges, I don't know why there's such a disconnect between how much we should charge for our services, because to me, it's the same as far as the quality of service is concerned.
I think as far as dealing with businesses, we charge a lot of home users do flat rates for things. Is that what you do?
No,
Or do
I
you
don't.
I
charge hourly.
See, a lot of ones that I've come across have a flat rate. This is how much it costs. In businesses, you can't do that. If I show up to fix somebody's printer, as soon as I walk in, they've got 10 other things. So if I had a flat price to come fix that printer, do I have to charge a flat price for each additional thing? It then works out to be more money than if I just charge by the hour. So
Well, it's getting like that with residential though too. I mean, you walk in and they have a problem with their laptop, and that's all they told you on the phone. But then when you get there, it's like, oh yeah, my sister's here and she's having a problem with her desktop. It's in a completely separate room. I mean, I get hijacked all the time.
yeah, if I'm charging by the hour, I don't care how many hours it takes. But if they have 10 computers for me to look at, that's fine. I'll look at all 10. But I think the hourly rate scares a lot of home users because they don't want an open-ended bill on how long you're going to be there.
Right.
They want to know how much it's going to cost me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right. You're completely right. I just walked in. A buddy of mine said his son's laptop was acting up. I walked in. I see 4 machines in the living room, and his wife walks up to me. Yeah, and we got them at Best Buy, and we paid this and that for it, and all of them have viruses, and our web root is out of date, and we can't get our wireless network going, and this mouse is broken, and I'm just sitting there with my pad of paper going, yep, yep, okay, yep, and cool. I'll get back to you. We'll figure this out. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. They were happy.
Yeah, they want a flat price. They want to know how much it's going to cost me. So if they have all those things, you can come up with a price based on how long you think it's going to take you. Come up with a flat price. But of course, they may add 10 more things to the list. So one of the reasons I would charge, here's the rate for the loaner. Here's the rate for me to maybe set up on your network, set up the wireless to get on. Here's the price if you have data to transfer data back from this loaner to your machine, just so they can see a menu list and they know, okay, I don't want this, I don't want this, I want this. They know how much it's going to cost.
Right.
They have a definite number. It's this much. And I think a lot of home users like that. And it's a way, really, I've worked it out. A menu system like that actually ends up being more than the hourly rate, but the home users like a number, I find.
If you give them the one option instead of the 2, then yeah. That does sound good.
But with a flat rate also comes a warranty. Is that not implied?
A flat rate, a warranty for what? The service?
Yeah, the service itself. I've always been scared of flat rates. I mean, because I worry about virus removal, and then 3 weeks later they've reinfected themselves, and The home user is going to consider, hey, I paid $150 for this virus and spyware removal, and 3 weeks later I have the same problem again, and it has nothing to do with how I remove the virus, but it's just because their son does something that he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I don't warranty labor at all. In fact, when I have a home user, let's say they have viruses, I bring the computer back, I let them use it. I say, use it. Are you getting the pop-ups anymore? No. Okay. If it happens the next day or so, I might have a day, but if they call back 3 weeks later, so they're getting pop-ups again, I'm gonna say, okay, if you got reinfected, we're happy to re-clean it for you, but I don't warranty any kind of labor. It's the same way if somebody buys a new car and they go down the road and they wreck it, they come back to you to buy a new car, they wreck it again. I mean, it's not your fault that they keep wrecking their cars, and they can't expect that to be covered if they keep wrecking the cars. So if they keep wrecking their computers, they're going to pay for it over. That's the way I do it.
I just know around here, I mean, the perception is, I think I'm actually very sure the Geek Squad guys at Best Buy, they all warranty it, and so I think the flat rate that a lot of people expect is actually based off the big box stores and how they do stuff, because I think they advertise that it's a warranty. Now, of course, there's red tape all over that warranty. If they have any suspicion whatsoever that you did something that would have reinfected you, I'm sure they're telling customers up and down, sorry, it's not covered. But I think they plaster the fact that it's a 30-day warranty on everything.
Yeah, I'd like to know what those terms are. If you have LimeWire installed, if they see some kind of strange history or a strange download file that you downloaded a movie from someplace. Oh, that's not it. That could have been the problem.
Yep.
I don't like warranties because you can warranty any piece of junk, and it makes people feel safe. I just tell them it's clean. If it's cleaned correctly, I don't need a warranty because it's cleaned correctly. And I tell them, I want you to verify. Let's go down. Let's sit down together. You can verify, turn it on, make sure whatever was not working is working now, and that's it. That's the end of the warranty for me.
That's cool.
Sounds good.
I just got to grow some. That's all it boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fun to tell customers, no, you got to pay again, but if you don't, they'll take advantage of you. They'll be calling you a year. Yeah, I just had this cleaned not a year ago, and it's infected again. So this 30 days.
And what a great opportunity to sell them the managed IT services.
That's true enough.
Well, and we're going to take a little break here. I know that you mentioned Fab's Auto Backup to migrate data from to a loaner and then back, and we're going to have an advertisement. If you haven't heard about what he was talking about earlier, Fab's Auto Backup 4 for technicians was released, and it's got new breakthroughs I'm sure you've used. Maybe you haven't. Fab's Auto Backup 3. Well, they have a new version out, Auto Backup 4. It's a key program for PC technicians. And like you said, you can back up customers' data, transfer it to new machines, new installations. It's designed for us, for computer repair professionals. The cool thing about it is you can back up data from several accounts at once. Or you can even save data from an unbootable computer. So you take the hard drive out, you attach it to your computer that's running the Fab's Auto Backup, and you can have it look at that hard drive to save data from it. And of course, you can restore back when you're ready. It handles transfer of emails, documents, favorites, all those settings that are hard to transfer sometimes if you have to go user by user account. This makes it much easier. The Podnutz guys in the forums, they're all going crazy about this new program. I think it works fantastic. You can find out more, podnutz.com/fabs. So check it out.
I just bought it myself about 3 weeks ago, and it's already saved me an insane amount of time. It is worth the money. I got an XP machine, an older Dell. It had 9 profiles on it, and I cannot imagine how long it would have taken me to grab all that stuff off of there. Repeat profiles from 2 or 3 different people, guests, family, this and that. And yeah, it's a great program. Definitely check it out.
I use it every day, and one of the best parts is that check all button. I mean, I don't know if you guys manually go through it, but I think to myself, you know what? I'm going to get everything on this machine. I don't care what it is. Check all. I'm going to get anything and everything personal off of it, and it's a beautiful, easy thing.
It cuts so many steps out of the process.
First time you don't do check all, somebody's going to save something somewhere that you didn't miss just because you didn't do check all. Never fails. Donnie, what you want to talk about tonight?
I'm gonna hit you guys with a 1, 2, 3 punch. I just actually wanted to talk to you about Right Express. Are either of you familiar with that company?
Right
Either of you?
Express. No.
Right, WRIGHT Express.
Right. No.
I'm not affiliated with them. I don't, I'm not getting paid for this, but it's basically a fuel management company. And what I mean by that is if you guys do on-site service a lot, it's a beautiful thing. I pay $2 a month, and that's it. That's all they make. $2 a month per vehicle. And I only use it for my vehicle, basically, but it's a debit card, and you have a credit limit on it, much like a credit card. And it has to be paid within 30 days. So it's not like you get you get 30 days of credit. That's it. It's not like a credit card you normally use. And basically at the pump, you swipe your card. It asks you for a driver number and your odometer reading. And the thing is, it basically keeps a log for you over time, and you're able to basically pull up reports. It shows you what gas stations you went to, what the odometer was, what you're getting as far as miles per gallon is concerned, what you're paying per gallon. And it's kind of cool for accounting purposes. And I've been using it for like about 2 years now, and it makes tax time so much easier. I don't know how many times I've went through mileage reports and tried to figure out, okay, was this a personal thing or was this a business thing? It saves loads of time, and it's well worth $24 a year. So I just wanted to dump that on you guys. I don't know what are you two using as far as tracking mileage, or do you track mileage on your vehicles?
At the moment, I track a little bit. I've tried a few different Android and iPhone apps, and I always have the actual little book in my glove compartment. But that's something I definitely need to sort of tighten the screws down, because I'm starting to try to track everything. So yeah, I'd be willing to check that out. Do you happen to have a link you can throw in the chat?
Yes, I do.
So if I understand right, this is a actual credit card also. So the bill for the gas comes in on this card.
Yes, it's technically a credit card, but it can only be used at gas stations.
At any gas station, or there are certain gas stations you can go to that accept this?
I haven't experienced a single gas station that didn't accept it. All the major ones do.
I'm looking at the slide right now. This is accepted at 90% of U.S. fuel locations. Chances are excellent that your go-to station accepts our card.
And when you go to the website, it's just rightexpress.com, WRIGHT express.com. It looks like it's for huge businesses. Like you got to have a fleet of 100 vehicles to actually take advantage of it. But I called them about, I think it's been about 2 years now. And I just said, look, I'm one dude. I want a credit card that tracks my mileage. And I'm getting it for $2 a month. And it was not a promotion of any sort. It was like, yeah, we charge $2 per vehicle per month. And that's all it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. So you get a report based on all the things you said, miles per gallon.
Miles per gallon, how much you pay per gallon, because it even knows how much you're actually paying per gallon there at the pump, since it's in the pump. And since it's tracking odometer readings from point A to from fill up point A to fill up point B, it knows how many miles you've actually driven and how many gallons you've actually used based on how much you fill it up.
Okay. So when you go to get gas, you key in the odometer reading?
Correct.
On the keypad. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It is definitely interesting. It's a good way to keep track of that stuff. I don't keep track. Well, we keep track of, we have other techs, so they do turn in mileage reports, but they have to do that manually. I think they have an app on the iPhone that they keep track of what they're driving from the office to the client back, but that's all done.
And of course, the IRS is listening, guys, so be very careful. But I mean, the fact is there's been times, I swear, I've spent, before I got this, I would spend 4 or 5 hours at the end of tax time, kind of going over my calendar and figuring out, okay, really, was this, did I really drive that far? That seems like a lot of miles. And if you do on-site service like I do, man, miles rack up, and it's a big deduction at the end of the year. So anyway,
it is a big deduction because gas gets expensive.
Yeah. especially
Definitely don't
nowadays.
want to. Yeah, you don't want to definitely lose out on that write-off because that's. And lately I don't go places. My guys go places. I like to stay indoors and do remote support. But when I was going on site, I was driving all day long, hundreds and hundreds of miles every week, just back and forth.
That's where I'm at right now. I spend about between 700 and $1,000 a month on gas.
Wow.
Yeah, good stuff.
Every little bit helps, even if it's only 100 or two. I mean, geez, what does that add up to at the end of the year? You know.
And
I mean,
so
I know the answer to that question. But...
So that was like a little thing, but I wanted to. My main topic is going to be actually a business issue that I've ran into with a couple of customers of mine, and I don't know if Matt, you probably don't deal with this so much, but I get the feeling maybe Cody does. Cody, you do residential work more so than businesses, is that right?
Yeah, I just got my first business client last week. Yeah, it's mainly residential. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So me too. And I happen to live in the west coast of Florida in a city called Sarasota, and we have a lot of retired individuals here. And I have some rather elderly clientele. And I've ran into, let's just say, I feel like it's an ethical issue with a couple of customers. And I don't want to speak specifically about any of the 3 or 4 of them, but long story short, I kind of feel like I'm taking advantage is a little strong, but I'm teaching them things over and over again, and their age is getting to them. And what I mean by that is, look, man, this is how you get into AOL. This is how you open this attachment. And I'm back there 2 or 3 months later, kind of talking about the same thing. And the problem is, I know that there's no other organization out there, at least I don't think or know of another organization out there that will sit down with elderly clients that really need a lot of hand-holding. Yet, guys, I'm charging $80 an hour for that type of service, and I kind of feel like maybe someone else could be doing it. So I wanted to get both of your thoughts on how to handle customers that are a little outside of, let's just say that they're not totally all there. I guess they're going senile or whatever. And I've never done anything unethical, but I have a couple that I'm getting a little worried about, and I'm even in contact with some of their family members who know that they're getting a little out there, and they're cool with me continuing doing the work as I'm doing it. So if their family's cool with it, then that's why I keep going. But I just wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if you haven't already contacted any of their family members, because that way, their son or daughter finds out, or if they're helping them with banking later on, that you racked up some huge bill over a year and they want to know what exactly you've done, and that could, yeah. But I think your conscience is sort of, getting in the way of justifying this service. But regardless of their situation, they are asking for the help, as long as you know that you're delivering it in a way that they can understand it and that they're benefiting from it. I don't see a problem with it. Although if it's someone whose memory's failing and like you said, every so often you're helping them repeat the same thing. Yeah, there's got to be a point where, you got to kind of, I don't know. I would either reevaluate the situation with their family and take it from there. But yeah, I couldn't teach someone the basics over and over and over again and keep charging them the money. I just couldn't do it myself.
Yeah.
Well, you are providing a service, so if they require their service multiple times, it's a service. Like I said, no one else is going to fulfill that for them. What I might do though, if you want to have if you want to provide an option to them, have the family come in and sit on one of these sessions with her. So you're showing both at the same time. So they have the option to call the family member if they have the same questions over and over again. Hopefully, if they have a son or a daughter or a younger family member there, and they want to ask the same question, how do I get on AOL? Give them the option that they can call the family member that you've showed also.
Yeah, this is such a prevalent problem. Believe it or not, I've probably set up 10 family members with TeamViewer access. That way, they can hop in and actually remotely do it, because a large portion of them, that the family's actually out of town, out of state. And so there's been plenty of occasions where I've hooked up the family member so that they could remote in anytime that they wanted. And that's worked out not so bad. What I'm considering doing on some of them, because It's a fair amount where I encounter these type of problems. I've considered doing like a contract with them where it's like basically a retainer client, but for residential. I wouldn't call it managed services because it truly is just hand holding every time. It's on-site visits. It's not remote and stuff. But um,
Yeah, because you probably can't walk them through doing a remote session if they're having that many issues.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because you would think like, man, 80, 85, 90-year-olds, and I have probably 20 or 30 people over the age of 80 that are great customers of mine. I love them. It's funny because you would think like a lot of them are basic users, but man, some of them will throw you curveballs. Hey, how do I get into my email? And how do I how do I hook up my laptop to my TV so I can surf the internet? Little things like that. And it's like there's no one other than a good computer tech who can migrate from showing a customer how to double click on an email icon versus hooking up their TV and getting it going so that they can actually use their laptop on their television. Lots of little stuff like that happens. So
now, what kind of internet connections do these customers usually have? They have high speed, always on internet?
yeah, pretty much. I don't like to touch dial-up.
Yeah. You could have a service where either TeamViewer or LogMeIn Rescue where you could install an unintended access mode on their computers, charge them like you were saying, a monthly fee, a retainer, whatever it is you want to call it, to where you don't have to have them do anything. You can just connect because of the unattended access and take the screen, just say, watch, here's how you do it. You don't have to go over there. They don't have to let you connect because you've already set up unattended access prior, and you can show them on the screen, click here, click here, click here.
Yeah.
That may save you a trip over there, and it may be quicker for them, and it'll help the cost that you're going to incur with the TeamViewer or the LogMeIn Rescue, because those things aren't cheap. They're not free. You could make the money on that,
yeah.
or make it back and still provide them the service. You're not having an on-site visit, so if they're paying by the hour, they have less to pay. So that saves them money and provides them with quicker service, which is the same reason I do remote support whenever I can.
Yep. No, I've done that on a couple of them. I use another service for their remote and stuff, but it works out usually fine. It's just a matter of sometimes it's silly stuff like unplugging things. They've unplugged their speakers or whatever on accident, or the speakers fell behind the desk and they can't get back to it. So
right,
lots of stuff like that.
And those things, unfortunately, there are services, and your rates are your rates, just like my rates are my rates. If you make exceptions, before you know it, your rate's going to be $20 a visit because you keep going down and down because you're feeling bad. I mean, of course you don't want to take advantage of people, but having a set rate is not taking advantage of something. You could do it. I don't know if you have senior citizen discounts or some kind of program, but you don't want to have a normal rate of $80 an hour and a senior citizen rate of $40 an hour. Unfortunately, there's no way around them having to pay for service that they want.
Yeah. And nowadays, I mean, really, I feel that senior citizens, and this may sound harsh, but I don't know why senior citizens would get a discount. I mean, their situations are just as complex often and often require more work. I mean, through either explaining things or whatever else. So I don't really feel, I don't know, senior citizen discounts aren't necessarily justified unless it's going to be a repetitive client who needs your help very often. I would be wary of giving just discounts. I would be wary of advertising a senior citizen discount for those, one shot, customers who just use you and then, they get 50% off and then they don't talk to you for 2 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest a 50%. I'd maybe say 10% off, just something to.
Yeah.
Of course,
I wouldn't go anything over 20.
Yeah, 20, even 20, 10% off. They feel they're getting a break, and they are getting a break because you could be making $80 an hour somewhere else, as opposed to 10% less, helping out the senior citizens.
Right.
Problems are problems. So their problem may be simple to us, but it's very complicated to them. So they need somebody there doing it.
And Donnie, I think the one thing you really need to focus on and sort of fall back on when you are kind of questioning yourself about this is realize that this is a service that they've asked for. You know, it's one thing if you're feeling wary about trying to upsell them to this or that, or trying to set them up with like an EV solution or external storage, which they're probably just not going to need. But imagine who the next tech might be and what kind of bad situation they might be in, you know? And I can tell by what you're talking, this has already gone through your mind. But yeah, if it's something they're asking for, then you're just meeting their requests, and you charge what you need to help you justify that.
Cool.
If they don't call you, they're going to call somebody else, and that person will charge them too.
Oh yeah, nice little guy in a blue polo and khakis.
Now, are these elderly? Are these in homes, like group homes, or are these individual homes? Are still in their own houses, or what's the?
It's a mixed bag, but there's the one group that I am most cautious about. It's a very, very large retirement slash it's a retirement community, but it also has like a hospital wing. I mean, put it that way. You know what I mean? I don't know what you would call it, but you know, there's plenty of people there, and I think that's where they kind of go there knowing that they're going to be having health problems in the next 5 or 10 years, and that's where they live out the rest of their life.
Right. So that's like an assisted living place. You can live on your own if you need, but there's help if you need it.
Yeah, exactly. Assisted living, that's the word I was thinking of.
Well, in that case, I would say if they're asking for help with their computer, no matter how much time they have left, you also need to realize you're helping them improve their quality of life for what they have left.
Yeah, that's true enough. That's what I've always tried to do. You know, it's like, that's why when I say no one else is going to do this, it's like I'm really on the ball with making sure that I'm connecting with, you know, exactly what they want to do. I don't mess around with extra features. I don't even care to upsell them anything. I just want them happy with what they're using. That way they can talk to their grandkids who live up north or wherever else, you know, just get that communication going and making them as happy as possible with their computer. That's all I care to do.
Yep. Sounds good. And they're probably happy to have you there just to talk to somebody in person too.
Yeah, true enough.
So, all right. Anything else on this? I think that was some good topics. We got an email if there's nothing else we can talk about. We got an email from Peter, and Peter says, "Hey Steve, and the rest of the crew." I guess I'm the rest of the crew too. I wanted to see if you could I wanted to see if you all could shed some light on some of the ways you all obtain discounted parts. I'm in the starting stages of my computer repair business, and my plan was to use local stores such as Fry's, Micro Center, and CompUSA for the meanwhile until I can find a reliable, cheap source for parts. I am talking about normal stuff such as hard drives, cables, RAM, and other stuff like that. Also, can you share some knowledge on some of the most needed items a mobile repair business would need to keep on hand so I won't have to make constant trips? I don't have enough business yet to buy in bulk, so this partner would have to offer discounts on minimum amounts of inventory. Thanks for the shows and keeping this site going. I think it is a great idea. And I think once I found your site and started to listen to the shows, it really helped me get started on my business. I think it gave a lot of insight into many aspects of the business, and also the forums and the community is great also. The people that hang out in the forums are great and very helpful. Well, thanks, Peter. So what do y'all think about that?
I mean,
go ahead, Donnie. Sorry.
You sure? Okay. I mean, I got plenty to say about this because I started my business about 6 or 7 years ago, and I hit up all the major distributor companies, Ingram Micro, CDW, there's at least a couple others. But anyway, I searched around, looked all over for great prices on things, and I kid you not, man. I mean, like for instance, Ingram Micro is the type of company, and I hate to talk, you know, too much trash about any specific company, especially on the air like this. But Ingram Micro charged me $100 to sign up before they would even show me pricing. I get in, and you know, one of the benefits of all these distributors, of course, is that you get a representative. So you get a name and a direct line to someone who supposedly knows your business and is willing to work with you. But most of the big distributor companies that I contacted, their prices weren't any better. In fact, usually they were higher than companies such as Newegg or Fry's or CompUSA. So I've just since then, and this was 5-6 years ago, I kind of never looked back, and I'm getting everything from Amazon, Newegg. I have colleagues who are in bigger business situations who purchase $50,000 plus worth of equipment every month, and I look at the prices that they're paying for machines, and sites like Newegg come pretty darn close. Newegg and Amazon, they're not bad. So that's my take on it. Most of all the parts that I purchase are either off of Newegg, Amazon, and like specialty stuff like LCD screens and stuff like that. I hate to say it, but eBay's, in my opinion, one of the best places to go for that. But yeah, that's my take on all that.
I'm sort of in the same boat with Donnie, where I haven't found I found a couple of wholesalers, but it just wasn't worth it for what I was seeing. What I've also done is that if I'm to shop at podnutz.com/Newegg or podnutz.com/Amazon, obviously there's Amazon Prime, which will also help offset the cost. Amazon Prime, $79 a year. You get free 2-day shipping on most items that's actually sold from Amazon. That's a great service. And then there's a likened service to that for Newegg called ShopRunner. And ShopRunner, it's also $79 a year, free 2-day shipping on most items. And it's a whole collective of stores. If you go to shoprunner.com, check it out there. It's like Newegg, Toys R Us, Radio Shack, some like another electronic store, some clothing. So if you figure you're sort of deducting the cost of shipping from that, you're getting it for cheaper. But sign up for the newsletters at Newegg or Deals of America. Is any of those sort of I guess it's kind of like a link farming site specifically for tech stuff, because you never know what you're going to find. But as far as bringing in products that you want to have on hand all the time, you're not going to know off the bat. You're going to get that one job where they needed this one thing, write it down, never forget it, keep that list, and say, well, you know what? I always want to keep at least one of those on hand. Now, the more jobs you get, the more often you're going to think, well, I might need to keep 2 of these on hand. Well, once you sell that one, hopefully you're making enough money to go buy 2. Along with whatever profit you made from the service. So some of the things, especially now that it's summer, I'm carrying at least 3 surge protectors on me at all times, because the last couple houses I've gone into, it's been disgusting. They just have the power strips. There's literally no surge protectant in them. It's just kind of like a splitter. And if it was hooked up to like a dead PC in one instance, it hadn't been used since their machine died 6 months ago. Well, we go and I'm looking, I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. What is that spilled around it? It was ants. All sorts of little sugar ants, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a lot of ants. Well, then I went to pick the thing up, and they just poured out of every hole of that thing. Pepper just poured out onto the ground. I was like, I think you need a new one of these. She's like, well, should we try plugging it anyway? I said, if you do that, you're gonna have a bad smell in your house for weeks. So just went and grabbed one out of my car, made twice what I bought it for. So yeah, I can't tell you what you need to keep on hand for your specific business, but what I would suggest is maybe one router, keyboard, mouse, maybe not for upselling, keep a used one just in case you go into one and you see stains on it from food or a cracked piece, something you don't want to touch. You're like, oh, well, I have this special keyboard here that I need to use for my diagnostic check, whatever excuse you want to make. Keep a hard drive or 2, one IDE, one SATA. That was huge for me. And you can get nice refurb drives off of podnutz.com/Newegg. Like you can get an 80 gig IDE drive right now. The refurb from Seagate, it was like $18.99 plus $2.99 shipping. I mean, that's a no brainer. Just having that on hand just in case.
Also RAM is one of the things that the margin on those is really high, and when you buy them from something like Newegg or Amazon, it's definitely worth it, and everyone wants to upgrade their RAM. So
RAM is huge. In one of the previous shows too, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Russ, but he was using a stick of RAM while he was there showing their computer, and they're like, wow, why is that so much faster? Oh, I put this little chip in there, and I can sell it to you for this much. I mean, once again, having them in their comfortable space, showing them how much faster their computer can be, and then meeting that need by selling them that product or service.
Right. If you're lucky enough to have, he mentions Fry's and Micro Center. If you're lucky enough to have one of those stores near you, those are good resources. I've been to a Fry's. They're nowhere near me, but those are really nice stores. I've never been to a Micro Center.
I've never been to a micro center, but from what to give you guys who don't have a perspective of one or the other, from what I understand, is imagine a micro center and a Best Buy inside of a building the size of like a Costco or a Sam's Club. I mean, it is huge. You have appliance, you have an entire computer. Like at my Fry's, they have an entire 2-lane aisle that is nothing but optical media. That's all it is. And then they have an aisle that is just hard drives and just hard drives enclosures. And I'm talking like a I don't know, maybe like a 60 or 80 foot long aisle. I mean, it's huge. So yeah, sign up for their check their ads in the paper. Sign up for their newsletters too, because you're going to find these deals that might last a day or two, and you can order them online and have them shipped to you. But yeah, check podnutz.com/Newegg and check podnutz.com/Amazon. Figure out what you're paying in shipping per year, or look at your account, see what you've paid so far this year. See if you can justify the $79 cost for the Amazon or the ShopRunner. And also with Amazon, you get their year free of like their video service. So that was something that help me leverage it with my wife. Like I can't remember what shopper's incentive is, but yeah, if you can eliminate the shipping, then you're saving that much as well and getting a good deal on the product, to where you almost don't need a wholesaler for certain things.
Yeah, the markup on hardware is the margins just aren't very big in hardware. So we buy stuff from Tech Data, Cinex. A lot of that stuff, we don't make a lot on it. We sell hardware and computers as services for the customer, so they don't have to go somewhere else. They just call us, so we get it as a service for them. But the margins are terrible, and that's why I don't build computers anymore, because I can get an HP or a Dell as a reseller for cheaper than or as cheap as building a computer. So
right,
some people like to build computers if they want to do custom builds with certain video cards, but Dell and HP, I found that you can customize those. If you call, or if you have a reseller account, you can customize those just as much as a custom built PC.
That's a good point, Matt. And not only are you getting it for around the same cost as it would have cost you to build it, but you're also not spending that time ordering the components and waiting for them to get here and then assembling them, doing tests, installing drivers. It's just sent to you right away, ready to go. In which case, if it comes loaded with the sort of crapware, you can offer them a service to remove that and optimize it and make it better.
And the warranty is all in place and systematized so that it's easier to fix later down the road.
There you go. There you go.
Right. They can call. See, when they have 3-year warranties from Dell or HP, they can call Dell. They can call HP. If they call us, that's a service we provide. We can call Dell or we can call HP for them. Now they're free to call Dell and HP as well, but most of the time they call us. We call Dell or HP, and that's billable work as far as I'm concerned, because I called for them. So, but I know Tech Data, Cinex, they don't do a lot of selling. I can't get a computer with I don't think Windows 7 Home. I can only get with Pro or business operating systems. So that may not be as good for the home user who does a lot of home user stuff. But the margins, they're not there. Hardware is you're not going to make money on hardware unless it's small things, a battery backup. You can resell those, and you can just keep those in your car. You go someplace where they don't have one. Hey, I think you need a battery backup. I have one in my car. Here's how much. Do you want it? You just put it in right there. So you can go through those pretty quickly. Now the question, when you have the Amazon Prime that gives you free shipping, if you sell a part to a customer, do you charge a customer shipping, or do you take those savings for yourself and whatever the shipping cost would have been, charge that to the customer?
No, because you can't prove that you actually paid it if you're audited. So why risk it? But if they do pay, like hypothetically, if I didn't have it and if I ordered something from podnutz.com/Amazon and I paid $8.99 shipping and it was a $60 part and I'm selling it for $110, $120, well then I just up my cost of it just that much more. Or if it's like $8.99, I'll round it up to another $10 just for shipping. Or if they need it faster and I give them the option of getting it faster, then it's up to them on what it's going to essentially cost. If I assess their needs, how fast they need it or how fast you think they need it, and then just adjust the price accordingly. But no, I wouldn't charge an additional fee for shipping, but my overall price would probably be the same.
Okay, so it's just the money goes into the markup, the hardware markup for you.
Right.
Yeah,
I always just use the big box stores as kind of the gauge of how much I should be selling something at, and I'll mark it up, 5-10% past whatever the big box store sells it at, because it's a service to have it on hand. My business is all, pretty much on site. So, the fact that I'm bringing it out to them, that's a service in and of itself. They don't have to go and purchase it themselves, spend the gas and the time to go get it, and I actually know what they need, and I have it with me. So.
And that is huge. Also, I had a customer recently, just real quick, that I sold them a brand new printer, and it only came with like a 3-foot cable, so they were literally hunching over this little desk that they had with their MacBook Pro, holding it in their hand and trying to print, and they thought it was really awkward. Yet they had a nice oak desk right over here. I said, well, why don't we just order you like a 10 or 15 foot USB cable? They're like, we can do that. I was like, oh yeah. And I look it up on Staples later that night, and they went like $29.99 for a gold-plated USB cable. Yep. Well, I can get them on mono price for it was like $1.84. So I charged them $19.99 for it, and they were happy about it because I showed them. I said, go check Staples. As a matter of fact, here we go. Blah blah blah. I showed up. I was like, you just saved $10, and I now ordered it, and I brought it to them, and I set up the printer, and I made sure they were printing. So yeah, it's that service on top of the markup that is really the value that they're getting by talking to you instead of just going to a store and bringing it back and trying to do it themselves.
Definitely, service is where all the money is made. Don't worry about making money on hardware. It's a little bit, but the service is where you're gonna make your money.
Yeah, I've never tried to figure out, well, what am I going to mark up on this hardware specifically, like a percentage, or is it going to be a flat rate for hardware? I just lump it in with the service because I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had something? Well, maybe Matt, possibly this might more apply to him, but Donnie, have you had anybody request a specific part, like an internal part from you that they didn't want you to install?
Occasionally I get phone calls like, people will say like, how much do you sell a power charger for my laptop? Things like that.
An internal component.
Oh, well, no. Well,
yeah,
I've had maybe a few phone calls, people asking for, specific video cards. They saw something online for a specific one that they're like price shopping and pretty much kicking tires. And those customers go away pretty quickly once they realize I'm marking it up past what, something like Newegg sells.
Right. But in that case, if you were going to sell them that component, then if they're going to install it themselves. Go ahead.
Yeah, if someone calls in, they say, hey, do you sell video cards? My usual spiel is, well, we get all sorts of video cards in, and yes, I do have some on hand, but I typically don't sell them by themselves. They're associated with a service. So that's kind of my role into that. And they say, oh, well, okay, well, how much do you charge to actually install it? And then I can talk to them about that. You know what I mean? So that's usually the way that goes when people's get right to the point about specific parts.
There you go. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, lump it into offering a service as well, and then either they're going to bite from there or not. And then also that's kind of a point where they can sort of disconnect from you and not waste your time.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yep. Sounds good, guys. All right. Well, I want to thank y'all both for being on. Cody, where can people find you?
Soon I'll have my site up at nicegeekcomputers.com, but for now you can just email me at codycooper@gmail.com or nicegeekcomputers@gmail.com.
And what about you, Donnie?
happycomputers.org, plain and simple.
Oh, nice and happy.
Yeah,
that sounds good. So can you be nice and not be happy, or happy and not nice? I guess you can, huh?
Oh, you can put on a smile and still collect money. So whatever that is, that's what I am.
Yeah, if you've ever worked retail, you know that you can be nice and very angry.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for being on, and that'll be it for this show.
Thanks a lot,
good night,
Matt.
everybody. All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks. It was fun.